We're recording. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neil McKenzie. I'm the CMO here at Regina Andrew, and excited to have our good friend John McClain here with us. We're going to touch on a number of things to help with your site experience and hopefully make that something that can be very profitable for you. And John's going to get into some of those details. We'll give everybody a few more minutes to pop on. We are recording this webinar, and we will send out the recording to you all if you registered. So you'll be able to watch this and rewatch it later on. We also have the chat open. So if someone wants to test the chat, you can feel free. It'll come to everyone, or you can just message myself and John. And then we also have a Q&A at the bottom. So we will be, oh, the chat is disabled. This happened last time. I have to wait till I go live for this. See, this is all good to know. All right, so everyone. All right, I believe now the chat is live. I apologize for that. So um, if someone wants to try that, hello, everyone. Thank you. So let us know where you're tuning in from, and we appreciate you guys joining us this afternoon. There's also a Q&A. So John's going to address questions at the end. I'll be monitoring the chat. This will allow us to kind of get through some of the content. We got about 40 minutes from John, and then we can kind of go through your questions and make sure that we're addressing kind of what you need. So thank you guys all for taking the time to join us this afternoon. And as folks do pour in, what I will do, let me share my screen real fast. And I just want to make you guys aware of a few things. So as I mentioned, my name is Neil McKenzie. I'm the CMO here at Regina Andrew. And this session is our virtual fireside chat. Our virtual fireside chat session. We will have a number of these events, 6 or 7 at Market, kind of an intimate gathering of friends, colleagues, industry folks like John, and those will be at our showroom. We'll have those available probably next week to begin signing up for. John will be joining us on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m.
Hey Neil, sorry, your screen isn't showing, just FYI.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yep.
This is where you do. Why isn't it doing that? Sorry. Live demos, man.
Just pretend we're on an install, you guys, and something's
Yeah.
late arriving. That's all. There we
Now my
go.
screen is showing. All right. So let me just backtrack there. So we host these fireside chat sessions at Market, and we'll have 6 or 7 of those. John will be joining us on Sunday at 3 p.m. and we will have that available for you to sign up for probably next week. So excited about that, as well as some new introductions. We have 2 new introductions: the Bond Collection, which you're seeing here. These are new, in stock, and available. So check that out. We also have our new roads collection, which you kind of get a little sense of roads. So 2 new collections, kind of covering a couple different item types, both in stock. So take advantage of those. And a special announcement, we also have our winter sale starting tomorrow officially. And it's you'll have the ability to take an additional 15% off your price throughout the website, line-wide sale. So be sure to take advantage of that. Sale runs until February 18th. So that's what I wanted to share there. John, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to kick it over to you, and we can get started. I think I'll let John kind of introduce himself, but obviously we've had a number of sessions with John in the past. He's got great perspective, not only in terms of what he's done from an interior design career standpoint and business, but also I think John is a very process-oriented person as it relates to really streamlining some things, taking advantage of technology where you can, to just improve the efficiency of one's business. And I think John does a tremendous job at that. So everyone will leave here with a few insights that hopefully can be applied to your business. And again, ask questions, ask notes in the chat. We'll kind of keep track of that. And then we'll be able to address those at the end. So John, I'll kick it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Regina Andrew, for doing this. I love that Regina Andrew company as a whole and Neil is so on board with educating designers, and it's just heartwarming to me to know that we can do little things to make big differences in our businesses. And that's what I really love about all the outreach that Andrew does. And so thank you for having me. So yeah, today is a topic that I am super passionate about because I see so many of you doing it incorrectly. And I say that with love, but I say that with also with truth because I know a lot of us look at our websites as like basically just a beautiful thing to look at. So today we're going to talk about how to turn your beautiful website, and it should be beautiful, but I want to turn it into something that actually books clients, right? So something that actually gets you new clients. And rather than just being only pretty, we want it to be a client booking tool. So it should have people who go there and enjoy it, but also have a clear plan of action for everyone to move forward. So I know a lot of you, but if you don't know me, hey, I'm John, and I am an interior designer like all of you. I also have a business mentorship program called the McClain Method, where like Neil said, I'm really process oriented, almost like nerdy and geeking out on it, and I love it so much. So I have the McClain Method, which is the business side of design. And then brand new, I have a company that I just started this year called Bright Lens. And I've been working behind the scenes a lot with designers on their marketing. So this is a brand new company. Even if you go to the website's there, but all of the content is not actually completely ready yet because we're still developing a lot of it. But it's all of the marketing things that designers need. And I know that from firsthand experience because I've tried just about everything and some of it works and some of it doesn't. I also have a podcast called The McClain Method, so it is completely free to listen to that. I am almost, as Neil's program calls, an open book. I'm, for better or worse, that's what I am. So the podcast is everything. I just kind of share it all. I'd love for you to follow me on social media as well. So I have the McClain Method and John McClain Design as well. I have a coffee table book called The Designer Within. If you know me at all, for at least a minute, you're going to know that I literally am probably hiding in the bushes in Dolly Parton's front yard, waiting for her to come out. So that's how much I love this woman. So she is a true, true inspiration to me. But most of all, you guys, I love being an advocate for our community. I find that just the little things that we do and say and share really go a long way. So thank you for joining today and for listening to that spiel about myself. So I have some hard truths for you. Okay. Your website. All right, let's just start there. So it does not matter, my friend, how beautiful your website is if it does not turn those eyeballs into dollars. And you would almost have more of a result if you just wrote on a napkin, here's why you should work with me. Are you ready? Like that would have more results than some of you are having with your websites because they're not converting. There's nothing on there that tells people this is why you should work with me. This is what I offer. You're very proud of your projects, as you should be. But again, there should be a clear, easy, low cognitive load for people to come to your website and know how to work with you. So, as I said, your website is beautiful and your projects are strong. The photography is great. Your brand feels elevated, sometimes almost too elevated to the point where no one can reach out to you. But yet, somehow your inquiries are not converting. They're not consistent, or maybe you're getting the wrong people into your company. So today I want to help you to figure out ways to combat that and to turn your beautiful website into something that converts. Okay, so three things that feel true but are not working. Okay, again, I'm saying this with love, you guys. I love you because I am you and I get you. But compliments are not conversions. Anyone who says, "Oh, I love your work," that's great, but it's not paying the bills. So if the praise that you're getting for your projects is not turning into paying clients, then the site is performing for the wrong audience. You're reaching out to the wrong people because traffic on your website does not equal trust of you as a designer, as a business owner. You can have a lot of people who come to nose around and look around, but if you're not building trust when they get there, then you are missing out because people will scroll, they'll love what you do, but then they're going to leave. And trust gets built through the language on your website, through the positioning on your website, and through the direction that you take people, not through the number of page views, right? So admiration does not lead to action always. And a stunning website can still fail at its one job. And its one job is to convert the people who come there into paying clients. So beautiful and effective, unfortunately, are not always the same thing. Okay. So I just wanted to lay that out. Take a deep breath. You're not doing anything wrong. It's because no one has ever taught us this before. That's why it is feeling a little maybe different for you. A beautiful website that doesn't convert is just digital decor, I like to say. So it's pretty to look at, and they come on for a minute, not even a minute, I should say. You have like 5 seconds, by the way, to get their attention when they come to your website. But they look at it, and then it becomes easy to ignore. There's nothing that stands out on your website. There's nothing that stands out about you as a designer, as a human being, right? And all of this without conversion is just really expensive to maintain. You're not really getting anything out of all of the work and the money that you put into to your website. So, let me get my slide here. Your website has one job, as I said. It is to turn the right visitors into confident inquiries. That's it. They come there, they see your work, they want to know that you have the messaging that appeals to them. Then they need to turn into a discovery call or a consultation, like whatever that first action is on your website, that is what they should be doing. So, the job of your website is not to add followers, it's not to get more press, it's not to get praise from our peers or anyone else. It is to build confidence in the person who is there to consider working with you. They want to leave, they want to arrive and then leave as well, but always feel like you are the one for them, and their confidence should always, the minute they hit your website, they should feel that confidence. So your site should work without you as well. So let me tell you what I mean by this. The language on your website and the positioning that you take, it should do a lot of stuff. But here's a list that I made for you to know what I feel it should be doing without you having to do it. So it should filter out the wrong clients, the wrong people who come to your website, the people who come to your website and let's say they don't have the investment that they know, or that they maybe they think design costs this and they don't know what it costs. They come to your website and they're thinking they can work with you, and maybe your minimum fee is 50,000 and they're thinking it costs $50 an hour. Like that's the wrong person. So your messaging is how you're going to filter out the wrong clients. You also have to build trust before the consult, before the discovery call. Again, whatever your first point of contact is with you. Mine is a discovery call. I literally have it. Step one, discovery call before anything else is done. That's where I lead every bit of traffic when they land on our site, is to that step one. It's very clear. It even says step one. That's how blatantly obvious it is. But when you build that confidence and that trust in you before you get to the discovery call, then you're not having to over explain yourself and go into details on your discovery call, because because they get there knowing all this about you. They get there knowing all of the things that you can provide for them because you have it on your website. It also sets expectations before the call. My discovery call, again, you're welcome to go to my website and copy as much as you want. I don't care. But my discovery call actually lists out what that step is and what they get, what's going to happen during that time, how long it is. You know, someone might be coming on thinking they're going to get an hour of your time and ask you tons of questions about their project when you have 15 minutes in your head, right? So be very clear about what the deliverables are on that first step. But setting those expectations before the call is just going to alleviate a lot of headache. It should be so simple for them to hit your website, schedule that discovery call with you within the first like 5 seconds. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. It's also going to make the right people feel ready to reach out, which is the goal of it all. The people who get to your website and they're like, wow, she really gets me. Like she just spoke to me, and I'm a mother of two and I'm a busy professional, and like she just spoke to me exactly what I'm feeling. Wow, she must get me, and I want to find out more about her. So that is the goal when they get to your site. But if it relies too much on explanation, uh, it relies too much on you. So if you're not putting enough information on your website, you're going to have to explain a lot on the back end. And we want to avoid all of that. We want to just go straight into what we need to discuss with that potential client and have our website do a lot of the selling for us. So why do most designers' websites struggle? Okay. First of all, again, as I said, most sites are built for other designers. We love it when someone says, "Oh my gosh, your website's so pretty, your projects are so pretty," and it feels really good. But just a reminder, your design friends are not the ones hiring you. They're not, they may refer someone to you, but they are not the ones bringing you on to do a job for them. Your website must speak to the person who is writing the check. I can't be more clear about that. Whoever's paying you to do the design services is the person you are speaking to on every page, on everything that you do. Always have them in mind. And I think that a lot of times we're just ready for our friends to tell us how beautiful everything is. And that's great. But if there's no messaging behind that who speaks to the person who's paying us, then what is it worth? Or maybe you have in your head that, oh, editors and publications are going to go to my website and check me out to see if they want to publish me. And that's great. But a portfolio that just appeals to an editor is different than one that appeals to a client. An editor is not going to go there listening for your messaging. They're going to go there looking for your work and the beauty of it and the detail and the design skills that you have. The client is going to go there for that and to know that the messaging is right for them. Or maybe we do visual validation. It looks beautiful. Everybody says so, but unfortunately, looking incredible and performing well are not the same. So instead of thinking of your website as just like this collection of images from my projects, I want you to always think about your website as that plus the message, okay? And here are the shifts that I'm going to show you to do. So first of all, we have to go from portfolio first to client first. If I land on your website and I'm instantly bombarded with a bunch of images and no words and nothing to see, that is your website acting as a coffee table book, essentially. That's really all that is. There's no information in there. And it's not about removing your work, it's about repositioning it in a way that supports your messaging. So the message should be consistent throughout your website, and then your portfolio is what will kind of drive that message home, okay? So let's talk about a perspective shift. How clients actually experience your site. They're not asking you, is this impressive? They're asking you, is this someone like me? Do they get me? Is this person someone who can actually design for my family? Do they understand my problem? So they're coming to your site because they have a problem, and we forget that. And as a reminder, y'all, they're not coming to your website and like making an appointment on their calendar to sit down for 15 minutes to peruse everything that you have. They're not doing that. That's why it's so important to get their attention right away and to speak to them right away. So they're asking, do you understand the problem? Do they know how and why I need to add on an addition to my home or renovate my family room and open it up with a kitchen? You know, that's what they're coming there for. And then they want to know, can they trust your process? I'm, as Neil said, huge on processes. I literally have steps we follow from the minute someone contacts us to the last, very, very last thing that we do. Nothing's missed in our process, and I love it so much. Clients do too. Clients love to know that you have a process. So speak about your process, even if it's just in general terms, if it's just in phases. You don't have to go into every single step. But it's nice to know when someone is handing over a large sum of money to you, which is, you know, our projects are with our luxury clients and with any client, they're trusting you with their money. They want to know that you have a process that they can follow through with on you to take that money and put it to the best use. And then they're also asking, will this film feel overwhelming? A lot of them are coming there feeling overwhelmed. They've probably gone on Pinterest and gone on, you know, lots of TV, watched TV shows and looked at other things, but they're wanting this to be less overwhelming. They're wanting to know that you are the person to take that overwhelm off of their plate. So when you change your perspective, I want you to change it like this. So go from portfolio first instead of like, look what I've done, look who I am, look how talented I am. That's going to come through with what you do. You don't have to put that right out front. You should always be client first. I understand what you need, Mr. Client. I know how to take you from point A to point Z. I've done it a million times. You can trust me with that, and you're in the right place. So those simple three steps there of giving that to your client and repositioning your website so that your client can answer and feel those emotions when they get there will win you more clients than anything else you've ever done. So that's what the client should know when they get to your website. So as I said, your homepage is your decision page. This is really, really, really important. Your homepage should say who you help, what you do to help them, like what you can do to help them, what happens after they reach out to you and what happens after you start working together. And then you should make them feel safe to proceed with you. They should feel very safe in moving forward with you. So that should answer on the front page. And I consider the front page of a website like the front page of a in the newspaper, which we don't really have newspapers anymore so much, but you know what I'm saying. The front page is where you're guiding them, you're getting their attention. That's why there's headlines on newspapers. I want to show you something funny. Okay, so I went to Costco the other day, and you're gonna laugh at me for doing this, but I saw this, and this, yes, this is an eye cream. I've never used this one before, but I bought it. Okay, I want to show you how this kind of feels like a website layout, if you will. So if you see the top, you have like the name, the company, it has the name of the product, and then it has here like what they can do for you, like what's going to happen when you buy this product. Your website is almost laid out like this oil of Olay eye cream because it is the headline, the hero section, as it's called, what the product is, and then what that's going to do for them. So you should be able to get their attention as much as this at Costco got me to buy it at the checkout area. So I wanted to show you that to maybe drive the point home of how important that messaging is on the front page. All right, now your call to action. If you've never heard this term before, it's also called a CTA, and it can mean a lot of things, but I want to really focus on this because it's really important that we get people to our site and then we find a way to follow up with them or to keep them in our world and to keep them in our circles. Even if they don't schedule a call right away, we need to really find a way to bring them into our world and to nurture them. So your call of action, your primary call of action, belongs above the fold. And what I mean by above the fold is this is that part like kind of on the top of this oil of Olay here. Like this is the part that's above the fold. So the minute they get to your website, before they have to scroll, before they have to move to another part, there should be an instant button, an instant message, something there that they can click to move forward with working with you. And this can be an inquiry form, it can be a free download, whatever. But here, like this is my Bright Lens website. I literally have right there at the top a way to do that. And then even on my design website on the other side, that is the button that they click to begin working with us to schedule the discovery call. So they should have, because here's the thing, they may have come quickly to your site and then they may come back later and then they click that button. But either way, whether they do it right away or whether they do it later, you want them to be able to find that button so easily and not have to go to a contact page. If you have a contact page, this is a side note only, where someone has to sit down and type into their little form, like, call me about this, that you are missing so many potential clients. People are on your website at night after dinner that with a glass of wine in their hand, with their phone. They're scrolling, 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 clicking. They're not going to pull that out and enter every bit of that information that you are asking them to do. So this should be so brainless for them to click, schedule, and even on our discovery call, I don't have a million gazillion questions for the discovery call. They're still very excited. So we just give them a few questions to answer to keep that excitement going so that it doesn't feel overwhelming for them. So as I said, you can have different types of downloads. I have several, and I'm going to show you those now. So the CTA is not just a button, it's a direction. So the one that's worked for me forever, like I think I've had this on 10 plus years on my design website, John McClain Design. It's 5 design tips to decorate like a pro. Sounds so simple. Again, the cognitive load is very easy. Oh, I can decorate like a pro with this download. I'm going to download that. So they download it. It goes into Flowdesk, which is my email software that we use. They get an automatic email out, but it's not just click this, there's the download. It's click this, you're getting an email, you're added to my circle. I'm going to nurture you. I'm going to send you newsletters, blah, 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 right? You're here. But they get something immediate by going there. So even if they're only there for a minute and they get this free, wonderful thing that's like a little piece of you, it's like a little slice of what you have to offer. And your freebie, by the way, it should feel to you like this is great. Like this is a lot of valuable information to convince someone that I am worthy of working with them. So it should feel really good for you. You shouldn't don't just throw something together randomly. And I'm going to have a free download for you at the end where I will give you 15 CTAs that I feel work really, really well. And you can download that as well. That's my CTA to you, my CTA of CTAs. Very meta, right? But I'll give you that at the end. But just think about something On your website, I like to have two. I like a call to action where they can actually schedule a discovery call or consultation or whatever. And then I also like something free like this that gives them some valuable insight and make it pretty. Don't just throw something together. Really try to make it something that feels reminiscent of your brand. The CTA tells them exactly what to do next. Like I said on my Brightland Studio website, I have right there. We have this new product called it's an investment guide, and I just launched it last week. You know, it's going really well. People love it, but it's literally they go to the page. There's the button to download this product investment guide that I created, and it is no brainer. It's right there. They don't have to scroll to find it. You want to make this as easy as possible because without a clear next step your most beautiful website is just going to sit there. People are going to click off, and it will not convert. So being clear will convert, and confusion will cost you everything. If they get there and they're so confused about what type of business you have and what you can do for them and what type of projects you have, don't use a lot of jargon. FYI, if you're thinking like you want to, pull something out of Chat GPT that sounds like it should belong in a Parisian design studio because it just sounds so great. Doesn't matter how great it sounds if it doesn't resonate with the person coming there and if they don't immediately understand what you do for them. Okay. Shift number two, go from describing your services to framing the outcome that the client will have after working with you. So, services explain what you do, outcomes explain why it matters. Outcomes are the transformation that you're giving this family of four who wants to have dinner together, but they have no place to do it. That is the outcome. They don't care what you title your service. They don't care how many, different options you have. That all they care about is that if I do this, will this give me this? Will this give me more time with my family? Will this give me a place for my child who has a learning disability? Or am I going to have a spot for her to actually study? Whatever that need is of that client, that is what you're going to give them, and that is what you should be focusing on. So, why the outcome converts? I just wanted to mention this to you to show you to kind of drive this home. This works because it reduces uncertainty. So when a potential client can see where you're taking them on this journey, their fear drops. If they can see what the outcome will be, their fear level totally lowers. And uncertainty is the number one reason that people don't reach out. If they're not clear and if they are uncertain, if you can take on this big, in their head, this huge task to us, it's nothing because we do it every day. Don't ever underestimate that. Always sell the transformation, don't sell the service, okay? Outcomes also build emotional safety. We're emotional people. Our clients are emotional people. Those of us who do residential primarily, we are appealing to their emotional state, right? And that is what you should always have in mind. Hiring a designer is very personal. We're seeing the private parts of their lives, sometimes too much private parts of their lives. Don't open the drawer beside the nightstand, if you know what I mean. But outcomes will tell the client that I've done this before, you're safe with me, and you're going to feel taken care of as we move through this process. So they want to feel that emotional safety with you. And I always say luxury is emotional safety is the new luxury. It truly is because when someone has that emotional safety with you, they are going to feel like they want to spend more money with you and they want to add you, bring you on to this project and then send you to their kids and to their neighbors. It's just going to increase, right? Also, outcomes signal leadership. When you frame the outcome, you're not waiting for that client to figure out what they need. You are showing them you already know what they need. You're showing them like, okay, I know what your problem is. I also know what you need to fix that. That is what you do when you are, giving them the outcome first. It also helps clients picture the result because, again, a lot of them don't. We take this for granted that we can walk into a space and immediately know what should be done to it. And whether we say it right away or not is one thing, but we do that, and clients don't always see the result. They don't hire services, they hire solutions. Always remember that. And when they can picture the end result through your help, that decision gets so much easier. So here's a perspective shift. Instead of saying, I offer full service interior design for residential projects, which I know we all know what full service interior design is, but our clients do not. So it's a big pet peeve of mine just to go to a website and see full service interior design when there's no definition of that. But instead of that, what if you try saying, we guide busy homeowners through confident design decisions from start to finish so that your process feels calm, clean, and enjoyable. They're going to read that and they're going to exhale. What potential client would not want that result from working with you, right? And I'm not saying you should copy this, make it something into your own words, but you see what I'm doing. I'm appealing to the emotional part of their brains so that they feel safe, they feel confident to move forward with you. Now, shift number three, shifting from your personal brand to your business brand. Okay, now I'm going to explain what I mean by this, but I want you to think about shifting from identity centered, just you, to process centered, which is your business. And I'm not saying remove yourself from your business. I'm not saying that because I know a lot of us are solopreneurs. But what I am saying is you need to really put your business brand front and forward facing. So what personal brand dependence looks like on your website. When everything hinges on you, it shows up kind of like your about page is strong, but your services page is very vague. Your portfolio is gorgeous and beautiful, but your process behind all of that is unclear. They don't know what that is. Your CTA, if you have one, is really soft because you're hoping to talk them into it later on that discovery call. I'm going to tell them everything about working with me. So I'm not going to put all this on my website about why they should work with me there, right? And your language, as I said before, it may feel more inspirational, but not instructional. It doesn't lead them through the steps of what to do when they get there. So what happens? You become that bridge. You become that person that has to explain, over explain what really you are about. And every call that you do, every discovery call, you're explaining your process again. You should be highlighting your process on the discovery call, not explaining it again. Or you're having to clarify your pricing structure if you're don't put any of that information on your website. And you have to constantly reassure them manually because your website is not doing that for them. And there's lots of objections that you can put on your website to have them overcome before they even reach out to you instead of you doing all of that on the discovery call. So even if you have someone who takes the time to complete that long contact form that you have, and then they schedule something, and then you're reaching back out again and scheduling it, da 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 da. No, that should be so easy. All of the objections should be overcome by the time they reach out to you. And also make that process of reaching out to you very, very easy as well. Use some sort of software system for that. But when you have to do all this manually, it's not scalable, it's not sustainable because your website did not do a lot of the heavy lifting for you and you're having to do that on your own. So instead of saying me, which I like me, and we all like ourselves, right? But instead of like going on your website and only focusing on yourself and what you've done, and especially in your bios, we're so bad on our bios. Our bios should speak to those pain points of the client. It should also be client first, not so much about us. They don't really care where you went to school. They don't, newsflash. They really care what you're going to do for their family and for their home. So just think about ways that you can restructure that to be services and client forward versus just yourself. And again, I'm not saying remove yourself from it. I'm not saying that at all. But here's what happens when you let your business lead your website, right? You have clear positioning. A business brand website says, here is how this works. Very simple. And here is what you can expect. Here's how we guide you. So it shifts from identity centered on you to the process centered. And it does not mean, as I said, that you remove yourself from that. It just means that the site no longer depends on you to make sense. The site can lead itself without you having to over explain from that. I still want you to share your stories. I still want you to share your background. And if those stories and that background align with your very best client, share all of that. So I'm not saying to, hide away on your website. My God, I go to some of your websites and I can't even find if there's a human being behind this design. So definitely make sure that your about page has some information on it about you, that they're working with you, they're not working with the brand. But you should be there as a support system to the business itself so that you feel integrated with that. And the client should know that this is a real business. You're not running a hobby here. This is not just me working, to do this for fun. I'm running a business and that matters. And this is why my website reflects that. Okay. My personal brand does attract attention. It does. And a business brand creates decisions. So I want you to remember that. So if a website only reflects who you are, as I said, it will always require you to be a part of that. If your website reflects that you have a system and processes and that you know how to guide that client, it will work without you constantly selling. It will do the selling for you. Hand to God, I wake up every week and we have a paid consultation in our inbox from someone who has gone to our website and scheduled that with us. Or we have a discovery call that they have scheduled with us because it's so easy. And they get there. And if they don't schedule it, I know for the most part that they were not the right person for us. But when you have a business forward website, it makes it scalable and it makes it very sustainable for you because you're not having to wear yourself out. Okay, so as I said, keep your personality, but just don't make it all about you. It should still feel human on your website. I want you to still feel warm and distinctively you and very personal, but don't make it revolve around you. Make it revolve around the client. And then you're just the facilitator and making all of that come true to them. So show your perspective, share your voice, let people know who you are, but do it with boundaries. So the client should see you but they should recognize themselves. They should see you, hear your story, and then hear what that means to them. It should always come back to them. And as a reminder, your personality does build connection. I want you to always have good personality, but again, client-centric personalities focusing on what it will do for that client. And then when you have this structure on your website, it's just going to continue to build that confidence for all of your clients. Okay. Another news flash, if your website needs you to explain it, it's not doing its job. It should be explaining itself, and you should be reinforcing that, okay? Your website should also support your authority. So if you do have, podcast appearances, or if you have a book, or if you have some press that builds your credibility, your website is the thing that ties all that together. They see something, some sort of press from you, and they go to your website, and it should be like, yes, slam dunk. She's the person for me. I'm ready to go. I love that. I love that feature that I saw in the magazine. Now I love the messaging that I'm hearing on the website. So it doesn't mean that you need to add a bunch of pages to your website. More pages are not the answer. You need all the better intention behind the pages that you already have. A bunch of content that just doesn't make any sense. The high cognitive load is not going to fix the confusion that someone has when they go to your website. It should be clear and precise, and the steps that they follow should be very, very clear. So you should speak to them, and they should have the steps to follow to work with you. That's really kind of what it is. So if I were to narrow this down into four things that I would do, this is how I would fix your website in this order. I want you to start with your messaging first, because I know most of us design the pretty. We design the aesthetics of it, right? Which is great. We go there first. It should not be first. We need to really do it in this order because your message is the foundation of every single thing that you do before you change your fonts, before you change your layout, before you add new photos, any of those things. You have to answer that one question to the person going there. What do you actually do for someone coming to your site? What do you do? Not the services, not your packages, but what problem do you solve? And your message should very, very clearly communicate who you work with, what they're struggling with, what they need from you, and what changes are going to happen after working with you. If someone lands on your homepage, your Ola Volet, and cannot immediately tell if that's for them or not, they're going to leave. And that's your fault for not grabbing their attention and speaking to them directly. And it's not because you're not talented, by the way. I know you're talented. It's because you're making your visitors confused. So, language, I want to talk about how you say it because most designers' websites are written for other designers. So, we're using jargon, we're using terms, or we write it for editors of magazines, hoping that they're going to come there and put us on the cover of AD next, right? But you are missing your clients when you're doing that. By you trying to sound impressive, clients don't care really if you're an industry leader. They want to know that you have this validation behind you to do the job for them, but they don't think in industry language. They just don't. They're not searching for a full service residential interior designer. I promise you that's not what they're searching for online. They're thinking like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed and I need help with this. And that's what they're searching for. That's the pain points that they have. And your language should feel human. You should speak direct with that low cognitive load, be reassuring that you can take care of them, and then be very specific as well in how you do that. Because when your language reduces all of their uncertainty that they have, your inquiries, I promise you, will increase. And this is where most websites, unfortunately, are not converting. Your positioning, let me tell you about that. So, positioning is how you're perceived by the person. So, do you consider yourself luxury, boutique, family friendly? Do you have like a high structure, processes? Are you creative and free flowing? Your positioning tells your client that this is the level that they are coming to you for. This is the level that they're going to get when working with you. And your website has to give that message. And if the positioning is unclear, unfortunately, you're going to get like price shoppers, a lot of people who are going to just keep adding on more scope creep to you, a lot of clients who feel unsure about working with you, and then consults that are going to drain you because you are bringing in the wrong people because you were too afraid or just didn't express yourself clearly enough. So, strong positioning pre-qualifies people before you even open your mouth. They should know who you are by going to your website, okay? And your website can do that filtering for you. And then, of course, aesthetics. Yes, we are designers. Of course, it matters, but design should amplify all of the other messaging. It should be the final layer on the cake. And it should not compensate for over confusing of people. They come there confused, and your design should not be the thing that overcompensates for that. And if you skip the first three steps, and jump just to the aesthetics, I want to tell you what happens. You're going to redesign your website again in a year, thinking that'll fix it. You're going to still feel frustrated. You're going to still attract inconsistent inquiries. It's not going to convert if you put aesthetics first. It should be a part of the mix, but it does not need to be the first thing that you do. So, as a reminder, your design enhances your messaging. It does not create the message. And if you fix aesthetics first, all you're going to get is just a prettier problem to take care of later. But if you fix your message first, you get a profitable solution. Okay. Now, here is what happens when you do this. So I've given you all the bad stuff, like all the things that you might be doing wrong. So now I want you to exhale and to know that there is a other side of this. You will feel better. And here's what's going to happen when you start to incorporate these things into your website. Everything will feel lighter. You're going to stop over tweaking and changing things and wondering why this didn't work and why that worked and how to explain to that client. You're not going to have to spend 30 minutes on a discovery call going over everything that should have been on your website positioning ahead of time. And then you're going to like give yourself a break because you're not going to be over convincing. I know a lot of you hate to sell. I know that you do. That's a dirty word for a lot of you, a four-letter word, but we are salespeople. And I know that when you feel like you have to oversell and overconvince someone, it just feels kind of icky to you in some ways. And side note, I always say selling is serving. So anything that you're serving up to someone, you are selling that to them because you believe in that. So don't forget that. But when you have a website that has a lot of that information on there ahead of time, who you are, what you do, who you work for, how you solve their solutions, you're not going to have to convince them. They're going to get there 50% convinced at least already. And then your website starts to attract the right people. Don't repel the wrong one. I know it's scary to think about, oh my God, some people may come there and not want to work with me. That's not only okay, that is preferred. We want them. We don't want to waste our time with that, right? You're also going to answer questions before the call on your website. So if you have FAQs or if you just go through your process on your website, that lets them into the inner workings of your business. And again, drives the message home that you are running a business, that you're not just running a hobby. I don't know where the confusion got in our like the world of homeowners in the past where they're just thinking that we just do this for fun, and we do it for fun, but we do have to make money from this as well. So when they show up to your website and you are structured with a process and your messaging is correct and they feel taken care of and that emotional safety is there, it is going to answer a lot of questions before you even get on the phone call with them, and it's going to set those expectations very clearly. So clients feel aligned, they're not drained, and you're not drained. And being clear does remove that pressure, and that structure of all of it makes everything just feel easy. It feels effortless to them. Okay, we're almost done. I got one more slide for you guys. This is something I was working on this presentation, and I was like, if I were to pull like some things out, what would I say to take away from this, other than all the stuff that I've already mentioned? But some final website recommendations that I have for you. So, as I said, capture the right client within 5 seconds. I know there's different numbers out there. I think that if you don't do it in 5 seconds, if they're not intrigued to work with you because of your positioning, and they don't have to guess if you're the right person for them, it's immediate clarity on their part. They know that you are right. Use multiple CTAs throughout. So above the fold, I want you to scatter them down. So if you go to my website, any of those, you're going to see buttons everywhere. So it should be whatever portion of your site that they're on. I don't mean have like 20, but let's say on your homepage, maybe you have 5 CTA buttons that they can click in different sections, right? And by doing that, it's going to allow them to, oh, okay, they've read 2 sections and they're feeling pretty good. And they see a button, they're going to click it and schedule that discovery call with you. So definitely make sure that you have one above the fold, mid page, and at very least end of page. But I usually have like, 3 to 5 on a page, depending upon how long the page is. Make scheduling effortless. Use some sort of automated calendar system. I use Acuity. I love it. I know a lot of you use Calendly. Whatever you use, I don't care. Just make it easy for them to go there and schedule that with you without having to go to your contact page or call your office. Like everybody's busy, especially the clients that we are working for and with, and they really want it to be easy for them. And then on that note too, when you have that scheduling software set up, have the confirmation sent out, send reminders, send them all the things that nurture them before they work with you on that call. And then I take it a step further. I have an automated reply that goes out and says, thank you so much. Here's a button to click to move forward with what we discussed, blah, blah, blah. Whatever that messaging is in your discovery call that you have some sort of follow up, and you can automate this if you are a one-person show. Tell a compelling about story. This is the story on your page. I touched on this earlier, but make sure that your about story is client focused. It has a strong narrative to it about your life and your history. And as I said before, don't hide behind your business. Don't hide behind the name of your business. Always have yourself on your about page. Tell a story that your client can relate to. Build a story-led portfolio. This is a huge one. I don't want to just see a bunch of pretty rooms. I want some context on that room, on that project, on that what type of family did you work with? What did you do for that family? Have a little story there. And it's not only going to increase the trust from the person going there, it's also going to help your SEO. So like that's very easy to do by you telling the viewer what you did as the transformation on that project. It's going to allow them to trust you even more. And then lastly, optimize for SEO and AEO. So be searchable. So AEO is when you're found on ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. I know ChatGPT has their ads that have just started, so that'll be interesting to see how that works out. But be searchable. Make sure that the SEO and the AEO on your website is up to date because your website should totally work for you when you are not on your website. So it should be another story, another version of you, your very best self to get to that person before they reach out to you. Okay. All right, we did it, you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Regina, Andrew, again for doing this. I'm going to answer some questions for you guys. And if you want that free download right there, you can just take your phone and do the QR code, and then that will pull up a form to fill out. And then you'll get some downloads, some CTAs that I have for you guys to review and maybe incorporate those into your own business too. So I hope this was helpful, and I'm happy to answer any questions
Yeah,
whatsoever.
we got a few questions, John. So the first question that came in was, can my design website also be a retail space for selling products, furniture, as well as offering my design services?
Yes, of course it can. Again, you want the person, you need to ask yourself what the focus is. So is the focus of your business design or is the focus of your business selling products? So I would not look at that as something to take over the space. If you're looking at it for an income stream, I get it. But also, I kind of push you to say maybe you try to sell your current clients more product rather than put products onto your website. It gets into a whole different scenario when you turn your website into 2 different businesses because it is 2 different businesses. You're running 2 things. It might sound very simple. Let me just put this on here and turn this into a retail store. But what you're getting is the headaches of customer service, the returns, any damages, blah, 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 blah. So it's a much bigger
Nexus.
decision than just saying put that on your website. Yeah, yeah, you know all about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, that's a bit. I think there's definitely ways to handle that. I think depending on what things you maybe want to sell, I would agree with John. I would keep them separate. Maybe it's a sub, almost kind of a different website entirely. And then I think you just want to be careful about kind of the offering there in terms of what you're trying to showcase or sell. So. Good question though, and there's definitely other
Very
things
good.
you can kind of put up there that might be more applicable to your audience. candles or little things like that, or maybe there's an Etsy storefront that you use to do some of that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Another question that came in: should discovery calls and consultations be led with the lead designer, or can assistants and or junior designers handle those in advance of that conversation maybe being held with the lead designer?
Oh, I love this. Good. I love where you're thinking. Whoever wrote this, I can tell you're ready to scale your
This
business. I
is
love that.
this is Sadie is ready to scale.
All right. All right. Scaling Sadie. Okay, good. Yes, this is so good. I was apprehensive too. So when I had my Florida office, then I opened my LA office, and I was like, how do I keep my Florida office running the same way it was when I moved to LA? Because I left it there and everything. But I thought more of like a franchise system. So I set up my processes and my systems and all the stuff. One of the things that I did was to train my employees, my team, to actually speak like me and to answer like me, and I gave them all kinds of guidelines on that. I have a discovery call script that we kind of follow by bullet points. I have the actual script in case someone gets, if you're having a crazy day and your mind is somewhere else, you might need an actual script. But I say this to say, when I started training them on how to do the discovery call, they actually did much better than I did, and they were closing more than I was. And to the point where my administrative assistant began doing the discovery calls, and then he was like loving it and doing such a great job at it. So yes, you should. I know a lot of us feel we have to do it all. You should pull yourself from different parts of your business, give it a test. Now, if they're not doing well with it, of course, if you don't train them on how to do it and you don't have the list of how to, handle that discovery call and how to close it, no, go back and to the starting board and educate them better. But if they're doing a good job of it, absolutely. I like it because it also sets the client up with like this expectation of they're not going to always get me, even though my name's on the door. They're not going to always have me at their project. They're going to have different people from my team. So I highly support that. Just spend some time in setting that up and making sure that you have the steps to follow for them to answer those questions on the call. And then pre that, have your website ready to answer most of those questions ahead of time too. We actually have them pull up the website with us on our discovery call, and we're looking through different projects and asking them which ones got their attention and why and so forth like that. So I think it's just a sort of like give and take. And yeah, definitely try it and give it a shot. I think it's totally worth doing.
Um, Website question, two part. One would be: is there a platform that you'd recommend to build your website on? And then a follow up to that might be: how many pages on a website are too many?
Um, I've used a lot of platforms. My favorite is Show It. So that's where we have our websites on. So I love Show It because it's user friendly. And I don't want to be necessarily a website designer, even though I've done like a lot of it myself. I want to be able to change something. If I see a problem on the weekend, I don't want to have to call the web designer to do that. So when we set this up, we use Show It, and it actually she taught us how to do certain things and to make those changes. So it's very, very simple. It's almost like putting things together on a PowerPoint presentation. It's very, very easy.
Hmm.
Squarespace, I also feel is very easy to use as well. And
I
then
agree with
on
that.
Brightlands, by the way, I'm going to be having templates that are like conversion templates, not just like blank templates for designers, but website templates that actually have sales words on there that you can use to do that. But yeah, the platform is not so, as long as you're comfortable with the platform and you can make a couple of changes on there yourself if you need to, then I say go with whichever one feels the most comfortable. As far as number of pages, if you're new, you're not going to have a lot of stuff, first of all. So I say go with a one pager, 2 pages at max, but one page is usually good for a brand new designer. If you've been around for a while, there's not really too many pages. It's just about how you structure it, and again, how it's easy for them to find which page to go to. You don't want to use language that sounds weird. Like you literally, mine says how we work and work with us. Like that's how they get to the point of working with us. So it's very, very simple. And then I suggest for your portfolio to have one main portfolio page with the best picture that you have of that project, the paragraph description about it, then click on that and then open up to another page with all the details of the project inside of there. And then you can add those kind of back end pages to your website. But don't make it feel overwhelming for the person to go there. If you have a blog, you should have that primarily shown. If you have a podcast, that should be there. I mean, mine tends to grow more and more these days, but you can also nest those under a heading. And I would invite you to think about how you can nest all the other pages under one main heading on your
Yeah,
blog.
I think the more you build with kind of an end in mind, and also keep in mind it's a website. You're not printing anything, so you can make
Yep.
changes as often as you want, as long as it's performing. Another question that came in, kind of website related in terms of structure, would be pop-ups. And is there a CTA maybe that you kind of like? I think on the pop-up thing, I think it just depends on what you're asking them to do. So if you're using that for email acquisition or maybe to follow you on social media, there needs to be a reason, something maybe in it for them, because those can be annoying. You can also set it up to where it can only show up the first time that somebody comes, though. If you're working with somebody that can kind of help guide you through that. Um, on the CTA side of things, John, anything that you feel like has worked better? Do you change that up or?
I've changed mine over the years, but then I go back to the one that I have now, which is like 10 years old, because I get probably, I don't know, 3 to 4 people downloading that every day. If you find something that works, just use it. My other recommendation is too, if you treat the front page of your website truly like the front page of a newspaper mentality, and you have a permanent spot on there for that free CTA, that the freebie that you're giving, let that live there. You don't even have to have a pop-up for that necessarily. If it lives right there, your pop-up could be like subscribe to my VIP newsletter or whatever, right? But the
Mhm.
other suggestion I have is if you do treat it like the front page of a paper, if you have something in a magazine or if you've been featured, on a website or any other thing that's in our industry, make that little section of your website kind of like the part that keeps getting updated. And you go back there and you say, oh, look, here's what we're doing next, right? Here's what we just did. And then someone comes back to your website and then it feels new to them because you've updated it with something fresh, some kind of fresh content. Or if you have a blog post that you're, particularly proud of, put that on the front page of your website, but keep it fresh. And because if it feels stagnant to people, they're not, if they came and they didn't schedule a time to work with you yet and they're coming back, they want to see that you're still progressing forward and that your website is staying current and fresh. So that's a fun little thing that we do.
Couple more questions, John. So we have a question just in regard to positioning. So this particular designer serves more the luxury market, but also may work with maybe an upper end client that wouldn't necessarily be perceived as luxury, but they have money to spend. How do you make sure you don't create a site experience that maybe is too far one way or the other, but is able to showcase that, hey, we do the upper end luxury stuff, but we'll also do, maybe it's a second home kind of situation that may not be, as maybe the budget's different for that second home type of thing.
Well, two things here. This is a longer discussion, but if you're trying to put someone who should be in this category, you're already doing the wrong thing. If you're trying to put a luxury client in a budget-oriented project, you're doing the wrong thing. So you should always be speaking to your luxury client on everything that you do if you are a luxury firm. Now, you don't have to be a luxury firm. You don't have to do that. If you do want lower investment level projects, that's totally fine. But if your goal is, let's say, have a luxury client come and work with you in a multi-million-dollar home, you can have different ways that they work with you, different entrances into your business, but you're still speaking to them. So, as a for instance, we have something called that's so weird. My camera is moving on its own. We have something called real estate refresh, for instance, where it will allow us to work with a client and get their home ready to sell. If the market's not doing so well, we'll come in and we'll make recommendations and we'll spend 3 hours with them. We charge a premium for that. So that is still our luxury client. They're just not ready to possibly work with us yet on the level of complete renovations or a new home or whatever. But what it does is it allows us to continue speaking to them in the way we speak about the same products. We speak about the same services that we do and the processes that we have. We still speak about that luxury to that in that luxury language, but they're getting this much of us instead of this much of us. That's the difference. But usually, by the time we bring them in on that smaller package, they're in love with us and they love how we've transformed their home, even in this short period of time. Then they do hire us to come back on at the end and bring us in for their new home that they purchase. So that's just an example of that. But keep your messaging the same no matter whom you're speaking with, and don't try to put a square peg into a round hole kind of a thing.
Um, Talking more on the technology front, or just on the website positioning front, pricing on your website. Do you put your pricing on the website? And then also, is there, I guess in terms of scheduling, you mentioned Calendly as an example to block out, availability of time. This client designer is asking regarding email communication versus Calendly, is that okay? And or do you just kind of use Calendly maybe to block out availability to schedule something? I think you could kind of look at it. There's certainly no issue to respond via email to set something up. I think the Calendly thing is to probably just um, to kind of keep yourself so organized, and maybe in terms of like these are my office hours when I sit down, and maybe kind of going back to John's process conversation of here's when I do this, here's when I do that, so I don't cross streams, I guess. But John, I'll let you maybe add to that.
Yeah, there is that, but there also is just the ease of the person scheduling. I don't want them to have to pick up the phone and call. I want them to do it when they're feeling motivated to do that on the website. The reason I recommended the software is that if you have the right software, it can totally act as another team member for you. You may not even need an administrative assistant yet, helping with phone calls and so forth and emails if you have your software set up correctly. So ours is very personal. They schedule it. The time comes up. They choose from the times. Of course, we block out when we don't want to do that. They can choose by team member. You can change that if you want to allow different team members, time zones, whatever. Ours got a little confusing when we were scheduling Orlando, Florida, and Los Angeles, California. Obviously, we had to have two different time zones in there. But the messaging that comes after that and before that is important too. They should feel like they know you. So it should not be some silly canned message. Thank you very much for subscribing. Da, 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 da. It should be like, hey, how are you? It should be in your language. It should be coming across as you type that message to them, even though it's automated. But the point of it being automated is that you don't ever have to touch it. You know that they signed up. Like for us, when they sign up for a discovery call, I send out that product investment guide to them completely free. It's sort of their enticement to get on the discovery call with us. So it kind of serves two purposes too. It kills two birds with one stone. They get that, and it's a freebie. It talks about the low, medium, and high of products. But for us, it sets up the conversation before we get to the discovery call as well, so that we can talk about products and pricing intelligently. And I don't have to just start pulling things out of the air. I can refer back to the investment guide that I sent out to them. But the whole point of the scheduling system is just to make your life easier and to know that there's one less thing that you have to do when that person schedules the discovery call. You don't have to send a reminder. You don't have to send a thank you for scheduling. You don't have to do any of those things. We send a reminder
Just
the
does
day
it.
before and then 15 minutes before in case they forgot about it. But it will take so much load off of your plate that you're going to feel like you hired another employee.
Mhm. And what was the software you use for scheduling again?
I use Acuity because I've tried them all, and Acuity for me is just it's so easy. Now, Google Calendar does have one as well. So if you're on the Google Workspace platform, it does have a calendar built in with that. So I use that on occasion, but Acuity is what I use for client-facing things because if you want to, like we do, they pay for their consultation, for instance, before they work with us. So the consultation is paid, and Acuity allows them to actually pay that, answer a questionnaire. All the things are done prior. So when we show up for the consultation, it's already paid. We have the answers to their questionnaire in our hand, and we can kind of move forward from there. So I suggest you have a short questionnaire for your discovery call to keep them enticed, and then a longer questionnaire for your consultation when they're actually paying for it, because they're going to invest more time into that when they're actually paying for that as well. So I like it. I've tried a lot of them, and it seems to be the best one. So there's not it, and it also comes down to how you like to use it too. User interface
Mhm.
is really important.
And then fees, John, or pricing on the website, you kind of,
Oh, sorry. Yes. So you can go about this with two different ways. If you have set packages where this is the package, this is what I do, that's
or a
fine.
starting.
Yeah, for us, yeah, exactly. For us, we're more of like we want to give you a scope of work based upon what your home needs. So I will put the minimums on there. I do think that avoids a lot of tire kickers. So, for instance, we have a minimum product of $50,000 if we are going to order it, and I have that front and center on our website. I'm not ashamed of that because if someone comes to me and they're thinking like, oh, like I'm going to spend $5,000 for my whole house, but he has a minimum of $50,000, like they're okay, then they're not going to worry about working with us. You can also put your minimum creative fee. I call it creative fee. I don't call it design fee, but you can put your minimum fee on there as well to work with you. So starting at, $15,000, 7,000, whatever your minimum is that you will take before. I don't suggest being hardcore with, here's what we charge for a living room. Here's what we charge because they're not all the same. This is the problem with designers is that we think that we can categorize everything completely and clearly. If you do little deliverables with that, yes. If you're going to do 5 deliverables for this price, perfectly fine. But we all know there's scope creep and all that stuff that happens. So I would rather put my minimums on the website and then adjust it from there based upon the conversations. And I chose 50,000 very strategically, by the way. For me, 50,000 allows us on product to choose, like, let's say we're having a time when we have a lot of projects who are just humming along and we want to add on like a one room nursery or a living room or some kind of refresh. It allows me to take on some smaller projects when and if we want to, versus saying our minimum is $100,000 when that might, maybe we want to do this kid's bedroom, and we now have the time to do that. The $50,000 price for us made sense, and that's why we chose that. I didn't just
Mhm.
pull that out of the air.
Yeah. All right. Two questions because we're over time. One, just this person, how much of a portfolio do I need to have? She was out of the industry, back into the industry. It may not be the most current, but I think if it's well shot, it doesn't matter. That's my opinion, but you might have a different one, John, in terms of how much stuff you want to showcase from a project or from past projects, I suppose.
Yeah. It should be your very best work. It should don't if you
Whatever it
take
is.
it's exactly. You shouldn't
Yeah.
take if you take 20 photos of a project and you're not so in love with the bedroom, but you love the kitchen, don't put the bedroom on there if it's not reminiscent of your current work. I would rather go to a designer's website and see 20 amazing photos or even 10 amazing photos versus like 60 and 50 of them are mediocre. That doesn't make any sense. So your photos are going to bring people in and show them your aesthetic. But if you have fewer photos, maybe you focus more on the storytelling of what that project did and how you transformed it and what family you worked with on that, and really go into that until you get more photos on there. I also think that you could do inspiration. So if you're inspired by hotels or if you're inspired by restaurants, right? You can have a whole inspiration section of your website that conveys your design aesthetics without saying I did this. You don't want to ever take credit for it, but you can say, look, this inspires me. This is what inspires my design on this trip. That also gets people into your world if you don't have enough projects to showcase quite yet.
Yeah, and that could make for a great blog if you want to keep up with that, or you can embed even your social feed potentially. If you do, have a business Instagram, you can embed that into the website as well. Last question, which this almost sounds like it could be its own separate call, John, but I think there's a lot of questions just in terms of the consultation process that you guys offer or do. And then let's see how that differs from maybe what you do virtually and what you might do with the client online. And I know we're over time, so maybe this is something where there's some help on your site as well. But I think they're just kind of looking to see, you know, how you structure the free discovery call. You get the client, and then you're going to meet with the client, and then maybe kind of what that looks like. Do you guys structure kind of that in person a little differently? I'm assuming you do from what you did online or
Absolutely.
virtually or
Yeah.
on the phone.
So to me, there's two kind of areas where you decide if you want to move forward. They decide if they want to move forward with you by scheduling the call based upon what they read about you and see on your website. On that discovery call, of course, you decide if you want to move forward with them based upon your list of criteria that you're following. So have that in your mind. If they're not agreeing with your pricing, if they're not agreeing with your process. We had a client once who was like, it was a whole home renovation, and she was like, I got to start in 3 weeks. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, there's no way we can't start for even 3 months. And I had to turn this down because this person was trying to rewrite my process. So have a process in place. Don't just show up on a call and let the client lead it. You should always be leading on your website, which flows over into the discovery call, which flows over into if you want to work with them on the consultation. And then on the consultation itself, yeah, it's very structured. I have a questionnaire that they answer. I have a questionnaire that I have in with me on the consultation. We follow the steps through that. We know exactly where we're going to start, where we're going to end. We sit down at the end and answer questions with them as well. And we lead that we do virtuals as well. So if we had a client in Hong Kong, but they had a home here in Los Angeles. And so we did the consultation virtually with them. And we just structured it the same way. We couldn't see the home, of course, but we went through their pain points, what they wanted to do, things they wanted to change. So the moral of every story is don't just show up blind and expect it to go the way you want it to. If you have these, it could be as simple as a bullet point. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. And you have that written on a sheet or in your mind when you're going through these. You're not going to forget anything. And at the end of that, there should be the decision made if this person is right for me, and they should be saying, is this designer right for them as well? It's a two-way street. It's not just them deciding if they should work with you, it's you deciding if you should work with them, and you should have that list down to answer that question.
And then, John, do you charge for the discovery call online or
No,
over the phone? It's
Discovery
free.
call is free. No, I'm pretty big stickler on the time frame. I say 15 to 20 minutes. You get people on there who want to do like, well, in my kitchen, I have this drawer, and it's like, no, 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 we're not going to go into this
We're not
detail.
designing it now. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
but if you are very clear about what they're getting for that before they do it, like we have on our website, they know that it's just more of a chat versus an in-depth, and then it's a decision-making filter for both people. Just be honest with people and say, we may end this wanting to work with each other, and we may end this not wanting to work with each other. They're going to love that you're being so open and honest with them and so fresh that they're going to trust you more, well, when you do that. But no, we don't charge for the discovery call. We do charge for the consultation.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. A lot of questions on if we're sending the recording out. We will send the recording out. That'll be available by Friday at the latest. And like I said, we will have more content at High Point Market, and we'll have that live for folks to begin signing up for, I think, by the end of next week. So thank you all for taking some time this afternoon, and we'll see you soon. John, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Regina, Andrew. Thank you, Neil. And thank you guys for showing up today. Go change those websites now. Get on it.
Bye.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
John.